Hey, have you been struggling to figure out how to get the money you need for your business to grow it in the way you want to grow it? I'm Jenny Kassan. I'm a securities lawyer and capital raising coach, and I'm really excited to share with you what some of the myths are about how you can get your business funded. And many of the ways you may be hearing about to get your business funded might not seem like a great fit for you and may require you to make a lot of compromises. But I really want to share a way that you can get your business funded without having to sell your soul or give up control of your business. So, first, let's talk about some things that you might have heard about what you should do if you're a small business owner and you're trying to get funding for your business. So, you will often hear that there's really only three options. One option is to go out and get investors. And when people say to go out and get investors, they're usually talking about going onto the VC path, the venture capital path. And that means that you have the potential to be a high growth business. You're probably like a tech startup or something like that. But guess what? That may not be who you are. You may think, oh, well, that money would never be appropriate for me because I'm not a high growth tech startup. Or I've heard horror stories about taking that kind of money. So, okay, that doesn't work. Then another option you might have heard is, okay, well, if you're not a good fit for investors because investors are looking for those high growth tech startups, another option is you could go out and get a loan. And the loans that they're talking about might be SBA loans, or there may be like a small business nonprofit lender. There's also, very high interest loans that are out there. But a lot of those loans are not a great fit for small businesses because they're very high interest, or they put a lot of burden on your cash flow that you just can't handle right now. Oftentimes, they're going to want personal guarantees where you're going to put your personal assets at risk for that loan. And then they'll say, okay, well, if neither one of those is an option, you really only have one other option, and that is to bootstrap. And bootstrapping basically means not getting any money for your business and just struggling along, maybe using your personal credit cards, maybe putting a second mortgage on your house, maybe getting a job to fund your business. And that's a horrible option too, because that puts so much pressure on your personal assets. A lot of people don't even have the option to do that. And, it takes time and energy and mental space away from your ability to run your business. So, what do you do if all three of those options are not good for you and you feel like, oh my gosh, I have no choice? Maybe I need to shut down my business and get a job, because all of those options that you hear about, they really do involve selling your soul, maybe giving up control of your business, trying to get funding that's not a good fit for you, making your life miserable. So, what I love to share is that there actually is another way to get funding for your business. And this is something I've been teaching entrepreneurs to do for about 16 years. And I've even done it myself several times. I've had businesses that I've started and run, and I've raised money for them many, many times. I've raised over $2 million from investors. I've had clients raise hundreds of thousands to several $1 million using this different strategy, which actually isn't that complicated, but for some reason, like, there's not a lot of information out there about using this strategy to raise funding. Before I start telling you about that strategy, please make a comment in the comment section below if you've been trying to research how to get funding for your business and you've been frustrated with the options. Tell me more about what you've been hearing. I love hearing what others are hearing out there. And if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them in the comment section. So there's this other way of raising money, and it's not that complicated. I did write a book about it. It's called Raise Capital on Your Own Terms: How to Fund Your Business Without Selling Your Soul. And, I came across this strategy just when I first went out there as a securities lawyer, and I had clients that wanted to raise money, and none of those three options I mentioned were a good fit for them. In fact, one of my very first clients had been trying to raise money using that venture capital path that I mentioned before. And so what he was doing is he was going to a lot of pitch competitions. He was, trying to meet all these investors, but it just wasn't a good fit because his business was not a high growth tech startup, even though he was very good at pitching and he had an MBA. He was a very impressive guy, but his business was not a good fit. So he would pitch and pitch and pitch. He would even win pitch competitions, but he would never get any funding. And so when I started working with him, we realized, I mean, I didn't even know all these other options back then. I didn't know about these pitch competitions and venture capital. I just said, hey, what about all these other people out there that you haven't even been talking to? Could they maybe invest in your business? And so I worked with him to design a strategy that allowed him to offer an investment opportunity that really fit his goals and his vision for his business and his mission and his values. And he raised over $1 million this way. And ultimately ended up raising a lot more than that. But when we worked together, he raised over $1 million. So what is this strategy? So basically, it starts by planning out exactly what is the right way for you to receive money from investors. And I have other videos where I go into detail on the 6 steps of designing your strategy, but I'll just in summary say that basically you design an offering of an investment opportunity that fits your business. So instead of going to investors who have their way of investing and their idea of what is a good investment and what terms they want when they invest, you design a way of investing in your business that fits your goals, values, plans, projections, and provides a way that your investors can get paid, but that does not contradict your plans for your business. Because if your business does become successful over time, which hopefully it will, because if you raise money from investors, you'll be able to pay for those things that will make your business more successful. So you design what it is you're offering to investors, and then you really broaden your definition of who your ideal investors are. And we do talk a lot more about that in some of the other videos, but the key is to not just go to those usual suspects, the ones that you meet at the pitch competitions, the ones that are part of angel groups, the ones that are part of VC funds or impact investing funds, but to, those investors, the ones I just listed, collectively only make up 0.3% of the population of all the people in our country who are investors. So the key is to just really think outside the box about who your investors might be. You design your strategy, you think outside the box about who your investors might be, and you make sure that your investors come in on terms that are consistent with what you want for your business. So the guy I mentioned before, he ended up raising money in the form of equity. So people made equity investments in his business, so they owned a little piece of his business, but he didn't give them any voting rights. So he had absolute control over his business. He didn't give up any control. And and he made it clear to his investors that it was going to take time before they could get paid. So he made it clear right up front, you may not see a dime for a while, and eventually once our business becomes profitable, we'll start sharing the profits with our investors. And again, doing that, he was able to raise over $1 million. So that's just kind of something to put in your mind about what is possible. Since then, he was one of my very first clients. Since then, I've helped dozens and dozens of entrepreneurs raise money that way. Like I said, I've raised money that way. So just be aware that there is this 4th option, and it's all about customizing your offering and being creative about who your investors are. So if you'd like to learn more about all the details about how to do that, we do have this video about tips for capital raising, and you can also check out this playlist. So thank you so much for listening, and I'm really excited for you to see more videos so you can really start shaping your strategy to get the funding you need in your business without selling your soul.